Um, this presentation is an introduction to the world of antiquarian books. So, first of all, what makes a book rare or antiquarian? So, the antiquarian book trade is very prominent, especially in America and Britain, like in case of English books. And how we judge the value of a book comes from these three factors. First is the rarity of the book, second is beauty, and third is importance. So the rarity of a book depends, the value of a book depends on the rarity in a way that if the book is a first edition, for example, Shakespeare Folio first editions, these are rare and these are valuable because there's demand. If there's a book which doesn't have a demand, which nobody knows about, the writer is not important, then it doesn't have a value, even if it is very rare or very old, 500 years old, it doesn't. Second is the beauty of the book. So books are antiquarian books mostly have a fine binding. They are produced in a finer edition, and it has illustrations and color plates, which I'll be showing in a while. So these kind of things also add to the value of the book, as because it increases the desirability of the book. And third is importance. Importance in this case is mostly the historical importance. For example, in the bookstore I'm working for, the Antiquarian Bookworm, we had the first edition of Discovery of India by Jawaharlal Nehru and the first UK edition. So it is an important book as because it was a turning point in the history of India and the world. So like that, also the book becomes valuable because of its historical importance. Coming to antiquarian and rare bookstores. So what is exactly antiquarian or rare bookstore? Bookstore, especially which specializes in some of these things are given here, like medieval manuscripts, private press books, illustrated or color plate books, fine bindings, modern first editions. These are some of the examples. There can be many more specializations. Uh, this is Book of Hours. So it's a Christian prayer book and it is a medieval manuscript. This is written in a scribal hand. It is written by hand and set in wide margins. So these are the characteristics of the medieval manuscript, that it has wide margins, it has decorated, illustrated initials, and it also has a illustration of Virgin Mary and Jesus. So this was the style of making a manuscript or making a book totally written by hand. And these were mostly preserved in monasteries in Europe. So second, which I mentioned, was private press books. So private press books actually came as a reaction to industrial revolution. So as we know, during industrial revolution, the craftsmanship and the industry which worked on handmade products, they suffered in India, and that also happened in England. So what happened that during the Industrial Revolution, all the products became mass production, and due to mass production, the quality of the product suffered. So everything became decorative, and it didn't have the elaborate hand touch which was there in the earlier when it was made by hand. So basically, it was William Morris who began the English arts and crafts movement, which wanted to improve the quality of craftsmanship and revive the medieval craftsmanship during the 18th and 19th century in the Britain. And during the early 19th century, he started the Kelmscott Press, which is the pioneering private press in Britain. And this is a front piece from the works of Chaucer, published by Kelmscott Press. And it revives the medieval style, which I showed before, of laying the page and the elaborate initials and the decorative part, and it also has an illustration. Next is illustrated and color plate books. So as a part of the arts and crafts movement in Britain, the British Golden Age of illustration also began. So then the first edition of 1001 Nights, translation by Richard F. Burton, was illustrated by Edmund Dulac, and the Grimm's fairy tales, illustrated by Arthur Rackham, came up. So Arthur Rackham is the most important person of the British Golden Age of illustration. This illustration is by Dulac. It is of the Sleeping Beauty, and he also illustrated a book by Pushkin's, and he used the Soviet style of illustrations there. So I'll be showing more of the illustrations later. Uh, Fine bindings. This is also one of the things that Rare Bookshop specializes in. So fine binding is actually a process of binding books by hand, and it includes using high level of craftsmanship and technical skill in the thing. It's made with leather, cloth binding as well, quarter leather, full leather, and it has raised bands. So basically, the book, on this part of the book, there will be a raised band. I have a video which I'll show you later. So the books the name of the book would be like, here it's stamped. So in those books, it would be hand tooled. The entire decoration would be hand tooled into the book. Modern first edition. This one is the first edition of The Great Gatsby. So modern first edition, mostly we consider books published in 20th century, from 1900 till 1950, 60, 70s. So these are also collectibles. Book collectors like to collect modern first editions, as because, like, what's with the first edition, first of all? So why the first edition? Basically, when a book comes out, the first edition of the book is the book which has made the book, had its impact for, say, the next 50, 100 years or many more years to come. So this particular book, The Great Gatsby, when it came out, it was important. But as the years passed, it got more and more important. Like, Scott F. Fitzgerald and The Great Gatsby became the American novel. So as the importance of the novel increased over the period of time, the desirability, the price, the rarity of the first edition also increased, because people wanted to have this novel. So one of the factors which is very important in buying or collecting modern first editions is that it includes the dust jacket or the book jacket. So this book jacket, as you can see, has a nice design, and this was a new phenomenon actually. Only modern first editions have book jackets which are very nicely designed, because before Industrial Revolution, before 1910s, 20s, 30s, book jackets weren't so beautifully designed or colorful. Mostly they used to be in a cream color, and it would just have the title on the front and no such illustration or decoration as such. After the Industrial Revolution, as because there was increase in competition, book production went up. So it became important for publishers to print books which can attract people. So the book jacket became decorative and it became eye-catching. It talking about how to identify the first edition. British books actually have it mentioned, like the year of publication. So you can check which year was it published, the book, for the first time, and if it matches the first editions, if it matches the copyright page year of the book you have, so you can match it up. In US, most of the books which they produce, they have it mentioned that it's the first printing of a book. So it's comparatively easier to spot a first edition published in US. The sequence of the ISBN number is also one more factor which helps in identifying a first edition. For example, like the sequence would be mostly like the first number would be 9 and the last number would be 1, or the opposite, the first can be 1 and the last digit can be 9. So like that, it's one of the factors. But to be more particular about it, it's always nice to consult bibliography of the book. So there are actually books which are written to help you identify a first edition. So for example, if there is a typographical mistake on the book jacket, you can match the typographical mistake and make out that yes, it is the authentic first edition of the book. So that is also one thing. This is the Triple Crown. So we are coming back to the private press and the arts and crafts movements which became, and the private press came into scene. So these three presses are Triple Crown collection. So these are the most important works which these three presses published. Kelmscott Press is the works of Geoffrey Chaucer, Duff's Press is the English Bible, and Ashendene Press's folio edition of Dante's Divine Comedy. So I'll be showing you a video of the works of Geoffrey Chaucer published by Kelmscott Press in a foil. Printing technology used for private press. So many private presses use this Albion press. It's the iron hand press where the printing was done using metal type. So basically the letters were cut out in metal and it was set and it was printed in using a technology called letterpress, where the paper is pressed on the handset set of metal type. And a compositor used to put the thing in place, like set the type so that it can be printed. And wood engravings were used to print illustrations. Some books for bibliophiles and collectors. This is ABC for Book Collector by John Carter and Nicholas Barker. So this book is basically like how we have the glossary of literary terms, where all the basic terms required for the knowledge of literature are jotted down. ABC for Book Collectors has all the terms needed for book collecting and to enter into the world of book collecting, like the basic about the associations, about different parts of a book. Like for example, here this book, like this part would be the dust jacket, these are the boards. So those kind of informations are also given, which is important for book collecting, because when we consider book collecting, it's more about the book than the text. And the condition of the book is one of the important determinants of the price or the value of the book. So the condition of the book, when they put out these listings, antiquarian or rare bookstores, they mention the condition of the book in a way that, for example, if it's a bit rubbed here or it's broken there. So those different parts of the book, the condition of each one is written down as a bibliographical information about the book. Two other books it's on Bibliophiles and Bibliomania, book collecting. A Gentle Madness by Nicholas A. Baspin. He is an American book collector who actually gifted quite a lot of books to our bookstore and signed it for us. And the third is the book Beautiful by Pradeep Sebastian, which I have in my hand right now. So this is his memoir of collecting fine and rare books. And here in the chapters, he has talked about different antiquarian bookstores, his entire, how he found out, about which I do have a quote here next. So this coming next is the Antiquarian Booksellers Association. I have mentioned few Antiquarian Booksellers Association which deal in the English language, because it's so the Antiquarian Booksellers Association of America, The Antiquarian Booksellers Association here, this one is Britain and Ireland, and Australian and New Zealand Association of Antiquarian Booksellers, and Syndicat National de la Librairie Ancienne et Moderne. This is the French Antiquarian Bookseller Association of France. This is the logo. Rare bookstores. So these are few rare bookstores. Peter Harrington, London, B&B Rare Books, New York. Chiswick Bookshop is no longer running, but it is one of the very important bookshops because they specialized in fine press and book arts. So there is one book on Chiswick Bookshop called Reminiscence and Remembrance. This is a catalog. Yeah, Rare Books, first edition, private press printing, Chiswick Bookshop. So this was their catalog of books. Rare Books online. So how you can find Rare Books online? You can find it on AbeBooks, via Libra, Biblio. This is basically a layout. You need to put the author's name and you can search like that, or there are also many. I'll be showing you it in a while. This is from the opening chapter of the book Beautiful, where Pradeep Sebastian talks about how he began his journey of book collecting. So he came across these books which were printed on hand press from metal type into dampened handmade paper. I have few fine press books here. So this is in a paper binding. So basically, this is here. And yeah, thank you. I'll be